Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. This is Recruiting Intel, where we take a look back and a look forward at all the week's big recruiting topics. Got some portal talk, got some high school prep talk with some visitors on campus today, some top prospects listing Texas in their top schools. So a lot to get to. Make sure that you do like this video and subscribe to the channel. We'll have any breaking updates that happens here on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel. We'll also have it over on InsideTexas.com. And make sure you head over there because for $1, you can get 4 months of access. This deal is not going to last much longer. As you can tell, it's a spring practice sale, and they only got 2 more spring practices left. So make sure you get over there, sign up while you still can. It'll get you almost all the way up to week 1. And hey, once you hear what we've got, once you see what we've got at Inside Texas, you're going to want to stick around for week 1 and week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and so forth. Also, if you are in Austin this Friday for the Texas versus Texas A&M series opener at UFC Dish Falk Field, come find us in the left field berm between the left field scoreboard and the Texas Tennis Center. We're hosting a tailgate giveaway presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, where you can win a Blackstone Omnivore griddle, a Yeti hard cooler, a 10x10 Texas flag canopy, 2 folding chairs blazoned in burnt orange, and 2 Yeti Rambler 20-ounce tumblers. Everything you might need for a tailgate or to bolster your tailgate package. No purchase necessary. Must be present to win. Must be 18. Come join us out there. We'll be out there ahead of Texas Fan Day on Saturday, having fun and watching the #1 Longhorns take on the unranked Texas A&M Aggies. But we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the recruiting world. We usually try to keep it or focused on a lot of the high school prospects that are at the Longhorns, at the forefront of the Longhorns' attention. But we got to talk a little bit about the portal. You know, we had Jack Endries, we had LaVon Johnson, we had Mason Shipley all commit last week. Yeah. Emmett Mosley committed during, I think, 2 Saturdays ago, something like that, bolstering the spring portal and bolstering the portal class for Texas. But, Charlie, there's one more that they're after on campus and visiting today out of Syracuse, and that is Murad Watson. You and I, we had a phone call about him earlier, talked a little bit about him, but this is someone who we kind of think, if Texas is able to get him, might shoot up to the 1A or 1B spot when it comes to these transfer portal additions made at defensive line.
Look, definitely. I watched this film again after we talked. I mean, this is a big guy who can move and really get out there. So much potential. He's not even close to how good of a football player he's going to be. Now, look, I'm not calling Kenny Baker the second coming of Christ. And so he's going to turn water into wine. But if you get a hold of Watson, man, look out. That kid's going to the NFL after 3 years. And so I love Watson. I love what he can do and what he can bring to the Longhorns, man. He is an absolute stud in that middle. He was stopped. He holds the point of attack versus double teams. He gets off double teams. He's flexible. He can play the 3-tech, the 5-tech even, right? I saw that on film. Kind of saw him kind of surf down and play the quarterback and the running back on a read option look and make a play. And it's like, he's an athletic big dude. And so if he comes to the Longhorns, man, we got an absolute stud in the trenches.
Victor Santiago here says waiting for more good news today. We'll see what happens with that visit, Justin. I don't think there's any other visits currently scheduled. We know Georgia is involved for Murad Watson. We know Tennessee is involved for Murad Watson. And I think Ohio State is involved as well. But at this point, all we know is that he's visiting Texas. We don't know of very many, or if there are any other visits planned for Watson, who was a freshman All-American last year.
Yeah. This is a case of the rich trying to get a little richer at this stage. You know, this is a guy that I think this is going to be his last trip. So we're going to have an answer from him in probably the next 24 to 48 hours. But all I'm going to say is that defensive line room is getting expensive. And but that's what you have to do when you're living life in the SEC. And so the thing I like about Watson is that he's not a one-year kind of deal. This is a guy that can develop. He was a freshman All-American last year, and we saw kind of what Fran Brown is building up there in Syracuse, and he had some good guys. And so I think Watson is a guy that they weren't expecting to hit the portal. I think they were looking for more of the Bill Norton types, and then boom, this dude pops up and he becomes a factor. He's on campus right now. We'll have more on that at Inside Texas probably later today.
should be fun to track. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the multi-year aspect. Jermaine Lele, Bill Norton, those were 1-year guys. A lot of the other guys that they brought into the portal, whether it be Tia Savea or Drill Carter, those guys only ended up staying for a year. They weren't rentals by design, but at the same time, they just ended up being that way before. I think Savea went back to UCLA or Arizona, and then Trill played at Auburn. There we go. So I like this from Z Hawley. Kind of fills that vacant Dontre Robinson hole after he abandoned Texas, went to Florida. It's as Steve Sarkisian says, you can use the portal to backfill on misses in a recruiting class, and that kind of seems what this would be for a 2024 class, considering Watson just spent his first year up playing with the Orange. So good thing to track there, but we also have some good news, Justin, to track when it comes to running back recruiting. We talk about how during the spring, kind of this part from April to June, schools narrow down their options. They find out who they want to focus on. They also find out what schools the prospects are recruiting want to focus on. Yesterday, we learned that Amari Latimer out of Sandy Creek, Georgia, included Texas in his top schools. Chad Scott is doing well to build off of a relationship set by Tashard Choice to kind of re-establish it as well after there was some trouble with it, just as you would expect when you lose an assistant coach that has a lot of good relationships. But Texas was included in Latimer's top schools. And Justin, it seems like one of those things where the Longhorns have just as strong a chance as any of the other 5 listed in his top group.
Yes. And so Amari's pretty open. He's pretty open. I know this. There's 3 schools that are really in the mix for this cat: Texas, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And he's visited 2 of those schools this spring. And, he kind of keeps a low profile. Earlier in the year, he wanted to commit. He was ready to commit in January, and then kind of backed off that decision timeline, decided to reset his board a little bit. Georgia had been kind of making a little bit of a push, but they're not wholeheartedly into this. Right now, Michigan loves him. Texas absolutely loves him. They would love for him to be a thunder and lightning style type of guy to either pair with KJ Edwards or somebody like that. And then you've got Wisconsin where his brother plays. And so, and that's going to have a little bit of stroke as well, because obviously, that'll be a familiarity there. Plus, Wisconsin is known for running the rock with some big boys. Yeah. They've done that for 40 or 50 years at Camp Randall. And so the big thing for Texas fans is that Latimer's got an official visit set for Texas on June 13th to the 15th. Texas is going to shoot their shot here. They really like him. They like his size. They like that this guy can be a between the tackles type guy. They want 2 in this class. And again, like you had said, Tashard Choice was a big fan of this guy, and he had been building with Choice somewhat. Mm-hmm. Chad Scott comes in and picks up where the relationship left off, and now him and Latimer are getting a lot closer. And for Latimer, he sees Texas as a bigger picture. Okay. He sees them as the big school, big program, sending dudes to the league on a regular basis. Thursday night is going to be the best recruiting pitch the Texas Longhorns have this year. Simple as that. And Amari Latimer is one of those guys that's paying attention to it. And so the Horns are squarely in the mix. They would love for him to come in and him. I think an ideal haul would be him and or a KJ Edwards or a Derek Cooper, something of that sort, because you want the big guy, but you also want the speed guy. Texas is in it. Latimer had been kind of quiet for the most part, but give credit to On3's Chad Simmons. He has been all over that recruitment. And the Horns, they're big fans.
How fast is Amari Latimer? Looking at athletic.net during last track season, which would have been, he didn't reclassify. It was Crowell who reclassified.
No, it was Crowell.
Okay. So during last track season, during his sophomore spring, it's listed as it doesn't look like he runs a lot of track. It sounds like he has an 11.78 PR listed. That was in a JV meet.
He's 210 pounds too.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
While breakaway speed may not be his best trait, it is still something that.
Give me Christian Okoye.
Yeah. And
give me Leonard Russell.
our guy do wish that he had more breakaway speed. That's understandable. But Charlie, when you're at that size, it's one of those things where you can make up for speed with what you're able to do to defenders trying to make tackles against you.
Yeah, definitely. Look, everybody can talk about speed. Everybody can look at the combine. Everybody looks at the 40. Like most dudes, they don't get caught from behind. Who cares? I'm looking at his film. Nobody can catch him when he breaks away. Not only that, nobody wants to get in his way to begin with. So he has pretty much a free path to run to the end zone. So you give this kid a ball enough carry, you give him enough carries, these safeties are not going to come downhill and hit this guy anyway. He's 210 now. He may be 215, 220 by the time he gets to college, and he may maintain that weight. But he has enough acceleration and burst for me initially to get through the line and break away. He doesn't have to go 80 yards, right? Give me a 40-yard touchdown in the day, I'll be happy. But he's one of those guys that as the carries go, he's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. But you also got to mix, like Justin said, you got to 1-2 punch thunder and lightning for that. Let him beat him up and then let the quick guy come in and go to the house.
Justin, here's a good one from our guy, David Keith Williams. If James Simon and Ricky Stewart were a 7 from the 2025 class, what would KJ Edwards and Amari Latimer be in this class? 9 for our podcast listeners.
I was trying to do a half thumb, like a nub, for 9.5, because I think it's actually 9.5, and every man always wants an extra half, and so hey, I'm going 9.5.
I think that I would like that too. And you have the KJ Edwards. I think he's in the top 50 of On3's rankings. I think he's climbing in the recruiting rankings, the industry ranking as well. He's got the speed you're looking for. And then Latimer may be the guy to hit it a little bit harder. Cesaro asks a good one. Where is a Chris Warren 260 plus? Here's the thing about Chris Warren. I know it didn't work out super well at Texas. I know the Herman staff. Didn't they try to make him a tight end for a little bit? And he
tight end, defensive tackle.
Yeah,
I mean,
he very odd. One of the funny stories you get from being at places is Chris Warren, I think, either caught a touchdown or like a really good play at West Virginia as a tight end. It's like, hey, Chris, like, how great was it for you to make a play as a tight end? It's like, I don't really care, or something along those lines. Or like, oh, you don't like doing this. But Charlie, Chris Warrens are not very common as high school recruits.
Nah, Chris was I know a lot of people recruit him as a defensive end linebacker coming out of high school. Like, yeah, that was a low. We all remember at the Texas Tech run where he bounced off, I don't know, maybe the whole defense and went to the house. I know he had a couple. I know you played the preseason, right, with the Raiders. I'm not sure if he finished the entire first season with them, but he made it to the NFL. But man, this is one of the kids I wanted to see like make it and be the next guy running back at Texas. He was so big. He's fast for his size, but yeah, I don't know, man. That's a blast from the past. Chris Warren, wow.
You know why he ended up at Texas, right?
Oh, the coin flip.
Landed right side up.
Gaines and Friday Night Lights coin flip.
His dad played for the Seattle Seahawks.
True.
So there was a Washington
connection
thing about it.
Gotcha.
But let me tell you something. He was not going to Washington. If anyone remembers his recruitment and his lovely mother, he wasn't going to Washington.
I heard the tailgates. I remember that.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
We're talking about, what was that, a 2015 recruitment? We're going to talk more about some 2026 recruitments, which just aged all of us more than we'd like to. But first, a word from our sponsor, and that's me talking about Roback. There's only one way to describe Roback. Best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Roback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs from some of your favorite schools like Texas, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Roback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Both are super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that's made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars like Quinn Ewers. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the code TEXAS20 on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com and 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with TEXAS20. We'll talk a little bit about one of the visitors that is currently on campus today. But Justin had to bring this up. Good question from Roger G. Is Texas recruiting Jalen Lott as a receiver? And if so, does that make Samari Matthews and Justice Fitzpatrick at the top of the cornerback board? A lot going on there. We'll get to Justice Fitzpatrick in a second. I don't think anything that Jalen Lott does will really affect Samari Matthews. But what happens with what's the latest with Jalen Lott and how Texas is recruiting him?
So Texas really wants Jalen Lott. I mean, for good reason. Texas legacy, outstanding football player on both sides of the field, high jumping freak. Like Jalen Lott's that dude. There's a reason big schools across the country like Oregon and those are clamoring for position with him. Right now, Texas views him as an athlete designated for cornerback. I think they would love to have him in the mix, but I don't think they view him as a wide receiver like they do these other targets, like Aaron Gregory and Jabari Mack and Caden Finley. Those are in a different category. I don't know if Texas would pass one of, or even Mason James now. I don't think Texas would pass those guys to appease Jalen Lott to play receiver. He can play receiver at Texas. I believe that, but that's not where he's going to make a living. He's a corner.
Yeah.
I mean, he can be a good receiver in college, or he can be a good corner in the league. And I think that's where Texas has him. And if you'll remember, that's the relationships he was building for the last year and a half were with the DB staff. And when they got back together, Charlie, who was he connecting with? Was it Mark Orfeh and Dwayne Akina?
Correct.
I think this is still status quo. I don't think anything has changed. Nothing's shifted. Texas views him as a take. They really want him. He's going to be in that athlete category with a designation towards corner, similar to Jermaine Bishop out of Willis. Yeah. Another athlete category with a designation probably a little closer towards corner. But Bishop's even talking to Jackson a little bit. So there's a relationship there as well. I'll tell you this. Nothing's going to affect Samari Matthews from being in this class. Justice Fitzpatrick is a mountain they're going to have to climb, like watching The Price is Right and that little yodeler going up. I mean, it's going to take it's going to take a long time to get up on that one, because that kid is probably going to wind up following his family to Alabama. Those won't have any effect on any of the DB room as it stands, but they love Jalen Lott at corner. That's where he belongs. Oregon's selling offense. Right. If that's what he wants to hear, that might be the move. We know Oregon's been trending with him big over the last couple months anyway. Maybe that's part of it. Texas wants this guy, but I don't think they want him as much as they would want Aaron Gregory at wide receiver. And I know they don't with a Caden Finley. They want this kid at corner where he can be elite with a Samari Matthews, following a Kobe Black, following a Wardell Mack, following those guys. I think that's where we're kind of are right now. Charlie knows Jalen a lot better than I do, and he'll have more on that soon.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the other things that oh man, I forgot where I was going to go with this. Oh, now I remember. I got to talk to Jalen at Texas Relays. He's a really accomplished high jumper, and that's going to be a factor in his recruitment as well. That's why Oregon's in contention. Oregon has the whole USA track and field complex up there, a phenomenal facility for track, and a very dedicated track program, track history. Texas, of course, has something similar with that. It's not as shiny as Oregon's, I got to admit, but it's still a great track program. And jumps are his event, high jump, I think, specifically. So that's another factor to track during the course of this recruitment, as Texas, Oregon, and a number of other schools compete for Jalen Lott. Justin, you had kind of mentioned him, but we'll talk a little bit about Justice Fitzpatrick. We all know his brother, originally from the New Jersey area. I did not know that off the top of my head. One of the best defensive backs to ever come out of the Alabama program. You always hear about what Nick Saban would talk about when it comes to Minkah Fitzpatrick and just how he was different This is his little brother. This is Justice playing for a very accomplished program in St. Thomas Aquinas. On campus, Charlie, what do you know about Justice? And do you kind of echo what Justin said about how this will be a tough one to get out of Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, definitely. Look, if Texas, we all seen him be aggressive and go at the guys they really, really want, right? All you can do is hope to have a chance at the end of the day. If he's on campus, you have a chance, right? But it's a long way to go. Usually, I mean, I don't know how many kids came from St. Aquinas kids come to Texas, right? Come from that region and didn't leave that southeast region, right? And like Justin said, he may follow his family's footsteps, but this is an excellent corner, excellent player, man. Just like his brother is. I don't know if he's good as his brother, but time will tell. But it's gonna be hard to kind of plug him from those roots and where he's at, just because that's where usually those guys go, right? Pat Surtain was a coach down there for a long time, right? His son ended up going to Alabama, so it's just like it seemed like there's just a tie there, but you just never know until the end of the recruiting cycle.
This is going to be a tough one. It's a very good way to illustrate how out-of-state recruiting works. When you have somebody like Samari Matthews, who is, like we mentioned, very interested in Texas, their relationship showed up, boom, Texas shot to the top of the charts. Obviously, Fitzpatrick is on campus. There's a clip of him. Oh, I'm looking at something else. He's on campus here today for a quick practice visit. Maybe this is what elevates them, but maybe like we were talking about earlier, this is one of the visits that helps the recruit narrow things down. We'll try to get more from that. But Justice Fitzpatrick, that'd be when you're looking at trying to build this defensive back class, it'd be a phenomenal pickup. Charlie, we got another guy that you're familiar with, also visiting today for over these past couple days for practices, and that is Zayden Crimpin from Prosper High School. He might be the most offered prospect in the country. Yes. I know not every athlete reports every single one of their offers.
Zayden does.
Zayden does, and the good thing about Zayden's is that they're mostly Division I FBS Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
But what's going on here with him visiting today, and where's Texas kind of sit in this recruitment?
Yeah, when I got to catch up with Zayden, he was like, I avoided all the big recruiting days because I wanted to spend some one-on-one time with the staff, right? So he's there, and from today to the 24th, he just wants to spend time talking to the coaches and players and really digging into the weeds, right? This is a kid who does his homework. He wants to make this decision. He wants to make sure he has everything written down, and he understands exactly when he makes the decision, he chose the best decision, the best school for him. So this visit is important to him. Like I said, he gets some one-on-one time with the coaches without a lot of other players around, and he'll have all the attention, and that's what he wants. I think he'll be able to make a sound decision and kind of see where he is on the board with the staff, and we'll see how the visit goes. I can't wait to catch up with him afterwards, but this is a kid who started out at 195 pounds when he got his first offer, man. He's continuing to grow. Me and Justin got a chance to see him at the Under Armour camp in Melissa. I think he has a lot more room to grow, right? He's a big physical kid, comes from a great program in Prosper, but I can't wait to find out how the visit went out there when I catch up with him.
Okay, Charlie, you said he started out at 195?
Yeah, he got his first offer at 195.
What position was he playing?
He played tackle at the time. He was out there 195 pounds when he got his first offer.
He must have been one heck of a block.
We already know, and I think we've talked about it a good amount on this channel, but just to rehash, the top two are Turntine and Ojo. That's where things are going to start and end. They already have Wright Robertson and Wright committed. You may be looking for someone who's a center, and that's not what I think Crimpin may be. But Justin, it kind of feels like Crimpin's ability or desire to continue his desire to continue to consider Texas kind of depends on what they tell him position-wise, their preferences.
I think that's part of it. Just getting to know Zayden a little bit and his family over his recruitment. And Charlie's been much more into this mix, but I've gotten to interact with him a handful of times as well. He's an offensive tackle, and he wants everyone to know that. I personally think he can play both. Yeah. I think he can play outside or inside. I think the versatility actually makes him more valuable. But we also know in the NIL era, offensive tackles make a little bit more than offensive guards, who make a little bit more than centers. And so, he has got tackle upside without question. Him and Maximus Wright, to me, both have so much upside they haven't even tapped into yet at that position. I think he just wants an assurance he's going to get an opportunity to play tackle. Right. You know, if it comes to it and he winds up, you know, being great at it and earning the spot, that's wonderful. If not, and he winds up sliding inside, he's still going to have a great career no matter where he plays. I honestly think that versatility is going to help him at the next level. But we do know in this day and age, he wants that tackle designation. And I think he just wants the confirmation from Kyle Flood and the Texas staff. Hey, we think you can play tackle. We're going to give you a shot to play tackle. But also understand we might slide you in if it's needed. And don't forget, this was the class where they've got to stack up on tackles, because how many did they sign last year? Uno. And 3 months ago, I wasn't even counting that one. But I've been horribly mistaken about Nick Brooks's capabilities at playing offensive tackle at this stage. So they only took one. So they have to stack up at that position anyway. Felix Ojo, John Turntime, Maximus Wright. If you can throw a Zayden Crimpin into this class, that's the best tackle haul in the country. That's one of the best offensive line hauls in the country. And that is exactly what Kyle Flood did when he got to Austin. He transformed that offensive line room, and it was with guys like Zayden Crimpin or Hayden Connor, who was an offensive tackle in high school. What did he do? He slid inside and started for 3.5 years. You never know what's going to happen. I think they just want to – and also Zayden's got a lot of things, boxes he wants checked. This guy has been going all over the place. If anybody's enjoying taking visits, it's Zayden. That guy is a – I'd love to see what his passport and his frequent flyer miles look like. That joker is everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. You know what, though? You only get to live this once, do it once. He's going to ask Kyle Flood a lot of questions. Hopefully he gets the answers he wants. I think Texas is in a great position here, to be honest, but I do know how important playing offensive tackle is to him.
Right.
Probably one of those that goes through official visits, a recruitment that lasts into the summer, correct?
He would have to. With all the schools that he's getting close to, Charlie, think about it. He's going to – the official visits to me is what's going to tell him
I think so,
or where he's going to learn where he wants to be next.
Right. Definitely. I think he definitely wants to go through that process. Just talking to him a few times about it is like, I really just want to sit down and pray about it, but I really want to go through each detail and get all my notes from all these spring visits, because then he has spring football started. He wants to focus on that and then take his officials from there and then really narrow down the schools he wants to go to. But he's getting close with a lot of different staffs and players that he knows on different teams. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
That'll be just about it, unless, Justin, you want to let people know what you kind of been working on while bringing all the goods.
I've been a little preoccupied. I apologize if I didn't bring the normal energy and my delightful self. I take responsibility for it. A little bit, I blame Charlie a little bit, but mainly my fault. Yeah, Charlie, it's on both of us. It's on both of us, because when one does well, we both do well.
But what you got working on right here for all the people who are viewing live?
Running back recruiting. You were asking me about Amari Latimer. You were asking me about KJ Edwards. Who did you not ask me about? Derek Cooper, Chaminade, Madonna, Prep. That's right.
Look at you. Okay.
Fort Lauderdale, number 3 on-3 industry ranking tailback in the country 2026. He's going to be on campus Saturday. Come to Inside Texas and read about it, because I just posted it, and it's glorious.
No better time to join Inside Texas than right now. 4 months for just $1. Hey, it's April 22nd. That'll get you pretty much all the way up to the week right before they start getting ready to head up to Columbus. So you'll have all the preseason camp intel, all the depth chart predictions, stuff like that. You're not going to miss that. Of course, everything before then, too. You're going to have official visit season. You're going to have summer workouts, all the different things that Texas has to deal with over the course of the next few months. It'll be over there on Inside Texas. So sign up for just $1. Get yourself 4 months. And again, if you are in town this Friday, heading to the Dish for the Texas versus Texas A&M game, we will have a tailgate left field area between the tennis courts and the left center field scoreboard. We will have a great raffle giveaway presented by our friends at Academy. You can win all the stuff you see on the screen. Have to be present to win. No purchase necessary. Also have to be 18. Thank you to our friends at Academy for all this great stuff. We look forward to seeing everybody out there. So Justin, thank you so much. Charlie, thank you. And we will see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.